Hey, what is happening? Amazing people, guys. I didn't even test that the camera was on prior to starting this. So I literally had to just start hoping and praying the camera worked. I can see myself. I'm sure you guys can see me. So we are in the same place. We are live. We're ready, guys. And today I want to start off the week by teaching you guys something pretty amazing. Something I found on US30 that I'd love to teach you and show you. We're going to be dealing with it live because it is going to be happening. So we are going to be dealing with it as it happens. So I know many of you love indices. I know many of you love gold. And what we're going to be doing each day is we're going to be over and above live trading. We're going to be unpacking some of the secrets and trends that I find within some of these instruments that you can use yourself, whether it's in the morning, in the evening, whatever the case may be. I'm going to teach you how to spot trends that you can become independent traders. So just a massive shout out to the whole community. You guys are absolutely amazing. I saw someone saying something about quantum growth markets. What's happening here, Lunga? The quantum growth markets program is my educational program, and it's basically about taking people through a quantum leap in the understanding of the markets, right? Taking all the years that I've put into this art and craft to try and help you make some of those progresses. You didn't have to go through all those different types of learning curves. So guys, without further ado, let's jump in. We are a few minutes away from the New York Stock Exchange opening. However, we're not too worried about that for the time being, right? Because I'm going to teach the strategy. It's going to unfold in front of our eyes, and then we're going to watch it, how it moves. Now, just really quickly, as we look at the rest of the world and the markets, there's a lot of talk right now. Everybody's talking about, this debt ceiling and what it's about, and it's worthwhile reading up. But again, as I said this morning, the US is too big to fail, right? A debt ceiling will not be holding the US back. There's going to be talk about how Wall Street's preparing for a potential debt default. But listen, guys, when it comes to the debt ceiling, what you need to understand is it's a ceiling that they have created themselves. They're able to lift, they're able to change it, they're able to print more money to artificially shift that ceiling and service some of their debt, right? And if you go back into how debt was created, again, go to the quantum markets growth playlist. I have shared the link with you guys. So I'm actually going to just open that link up here. If you guys don't have it already, someone's asking, what is the quantum growth markets playlist? It's right here behind me, right? So this is what I've shared into the group. It's from video 1 all the way to video 7, as well as strategy, right? So everything you need to know about the markets is right here behind me. The link is in Telegram group, which obviously is how you found this video. So go ahead and go through that. There's 8 hours of education. And there is going to be a whole new educational series launching this year. That's going to be for my Premium Plus members. But over and above that, you'll understand a little bit more about debt and where it all comes from. But don't worry about this all too much, right? We are going to be doing a little bit of a look at the end of today's broadcast, looking at the rest of the week, what big items are going to be coming out that we do need to be paying attention to. So do not stress, do not worry about that. Looking at the economic calendar for today, we have a fairly clean day, not all too much happening. Fairly quiet, so we shouldn't expect any external influences to mess with our strategy this afternoon. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's have a look at what it is that I want to be showing you guys, and this is going to be quite important, and I really want to spend some time taking everybody through this, because essentially this is going to be part and parcel of something much bigger that I'm going to be teaching about, right? So at the moment, we're currently looking at the US30. Now, as you guys know, and I've loved throughout 2022, we've utilized the strategy as well in the early 2023. You guys have loved trading this live with me in the sense that we look at the US market open, specifically around the New York Stock Exchange open, right? The US market opens up a little bit earlier, but the New York Stock Exchange opens up right now at 3:30 GMT plus 2. And the strategy that we've used in the past basically is a little bit something like this, right? When the New York Stock Exchange opens, we generally see a stack of orders that get released into the market, right? And that is basically the tip of the iceberg. You see an overflow of orders. It generally pumps the market into a certain direction. Now, in 2022, we generally found that wherever that pump ends up going, the market ends up rallying for an extended period of time, provided you can catch it at the right time. We started to see some changes towards the end of 2022. 2023, it started to get a little bit more complicated, where they were essentially hiding the tip of the iceberg. We initially got a flow, and then that direction ended up changing. So I've been looking over the past couple of days at how do we adapt, how do we advise, how do we change the strategy up a little bit. And I want to show you guys something really, really interesting, right? So again, if you are using HFM or you are using Trade 245, just please be aware that when it comes to server times, right, whatever time you're seeing on your MT4, MT5, it's generally out by 1 hour. So if you're seeing 1400 hours, that actually means 1 o'clock. Just a side tip for everybody to be aware of. So what I want to show you right here is that on the New York Stock Exchange Open, we got a little bit of a pump down and then a little bit of a stabilization. But what I'm noticing as a trend, I really want us to follow up, is at 4 o'clock, we get the actual trend that gets revealed. So in this case, the pump was down, it broke structure, so we would have chased the pump. And then ultimately at 4 o'clock, we get the general run or the actual run in direction. Now let's move up into the next New York Stock Exchange Open, right? We get a similar thing here. 4 o'clock, this is the 15th of May. 4 o'clock, 3:30, we get the initial pump down. We end up getting volume down to the market, consolidates, and then have a look at what happens as soon as we get to that 4 o'clock mark. 4 o'clock mark, structure breaks, and then we get the general volume, which ends up being, in this particular case, around about 2,000 pips towards the top side. Let's move up into the next day, which is the 16th of May. We get the initial pump down, right, but then struck with a bit of volatility. 4 o'clock, we end up seeing the actual sort of direction is revealed, and then we get a massive sort of sell-off on the 16th. Let's move up once again, having a look at the 3:30 mark, which is obviously now. We get the initial pump down, which was a good amount of pips there, 1,000 pip, nice little 1,000 pip mark. However, having a look at 4 o'clock, we then get the true direction, which is then revealed, which ultimately gives us another 4,000 pips towards the top side. And this trend seems to be trend upon trend upon trend. Same thing here, 18th, right, on Thursday, we saw initially a bit of volatility, a bit of volume, and a bit of a sideways market. And this is what we don't want to get caught out as traders. You don't want to get in, for those of you who know US30, you know NASDAQ, you don't want to be caught up in that sideways movement, right? It is the worst thing as a trader. You guys know it, I know it. If you've traded, you know it. You get into a trade, you're in profit, you're in a loss. You're in a profit, you're in a loss. And it's probably one of the most stressful things you can get into. So we're trying to get into clean volume moves, right? Where market liquidity, the imbalance is overwhelming. We have a clear direction, a clear move. And that is what we're trying to identify here, right? So again, what I'm looking at this afternoon, all things being equal, let's go past the 19th because that has already happened. The 19th, obviously, we saw a bunch of volatility at market open. Market open ended up happening, and then again, we have a look at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock revealed true direction, but then a massive sell-off, obviously, with regards to Powell and all the other things that are busy happening. So let's have a look at where we are now, right? So where we are now, I've drawn out a little bit of a structure here. Again, this is US30, market structures in play. We're getting an initial push down here. Initial push down is coming in at the 3:30 mark for the New York Stock Exchange. It looks like volume towards the downside. However, remember, Mondays always carry that extra bit of issues, extra bit of volatility based on what has happened over the weekend. So we need to be careful of that, right? So initial push down, but now we're starting to see volume consolidate, and have a look at that. We're starting to see volume even press further up. So what I'm curious as to do this afternoon is I'm going to let the volume play out. The New York Stock Exchange volume, and let this ride out. And what I'm looking to do is catch the directional move at 4 o'clock on the dot, right? And this is going to be how we're going to potentially develop and change up strategies. Have a look at that. Massive volume kicking in towards the top side. Massive volume. So there we're getting essentially the markets, the imbalance is huge, and we're just getting that massive push towards top side. I'd love to follow it. It is a little bit late, but let's just get in there. Oh, I got rejected because price is moving a little bit too quickly. But in essence, markets are just massive volume towards top side. So I'm going to pop one in there just because the amount of volume in there tells me there's something wrong in the markets. So let's just go in there. I'm just going to pull down a stop loss. But traditionally, what we would want to do in this particular case is we'd want that volume to play out. We'd want that market situation just to have its way, to do what it needs to do, to be done with it, to be finished. And then at 4 o'clock, truly understand where the direction is going to go. Because generally from 4, we have those clean moves, we have those clean directional moves. Now, having a look at where US30 is just in general, right? We obviously had this massive sell-off that comes off on the 19th. And as we've seen with most things, we need to make some sort of recovery back up into this volume, right? Because again, there's going to be massive order blocks here that need to be fulfilled. And the idea would be that at 4 o'clock, we want to try and identify, is there going to be some sort of retracement zone we can potentially get to 61.8, 78.6, something in that region, right? So actually, let's leave that one there. I'm just going to put in a trailing stop here. Let's see, I'm just going to put in something small like a 2000 in case we get an additional push in volume towards the top side. But in essence, what we're looking to do is we're just looking to see and let this New York Stock Exchange volume play out. We're not putting in 2 orders, we're not putting in 3 orders, we're not putting in any big orders on the New York Stock Exchange. We're simply chasing a little quick run. If need be, it might be 500 pips, maybe 600 pips. But once 4 o'clock happens, that is where we want to start to chase some momentum, some direction. Okay. Let's have a look here. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about, and we will be going through this in quite a bit of detail, but ultimately all it means is you can go and do this by yourself, is just draw simple price action. Right now, again, I really hate when people go into the past and they say, hey, but it's simple, just do this. Ultimately, try and do this for yourself, right? When you're looking for patterns, you're trying to spot recognition, don't give yourself the benefit of being able to see the full chart or the full future, right? Let me just clean up my screen there. There's quite a bit on the table there. Okay, right. So try and cut off as much of the screen as you can. So go back 2-3 months, whatever the case may be, right? Go back, and simply go to that moment in time. So let's do an example together, right? So we're going back and we're looking for the 10th of May. Let's go there. Okay. So obviously on the 10th of May, there was a bunch of chaos here. Here's New York Stock Exchange open. We can see it's absolute chaos, right? Was a nice big move. Wait, sorry, there we go. What was that? 230. That's US market open, right? There's New York Stock Exchange open, massive sell-off, right? Then we get 5 o'clock, and then 5 o'clock reveals the true direction, right? So massive sell-off ended up happening right there. New York Stock Exchange open, massive sell-off happening, nice retracement, probably about a 50% fib. We can double check that. 50% fib level, yeah, it hit a 50 fib, and then ultimately again at 4 o'clock we get that nice big secondary volume, and then that volume ended up continuing all the way through into the night, right? So initial move happened, pullback happened, you might have got half of that, so let's say 1,500 pips. Ultimately from 4 o'clock there's an additional 4,000 pips. So when we just look at risk to reward ratios, this is where the moves are paying a little bit more attention to, and the moves are longer. We don't have to sit behind our PC minute by minute, double checking, triple checking every single push there. So I'm seeing quite a few little bit of rejections there. So I'm going to get out of that just because the chase was a little bit late. So I'm getting out of that little feeler trade there towards the top side. And all I want to do is I want to see where this consolidates to. I want to see where this ends up just averaging out by the time we get closer to 4 o'clock. So we have a couple minutes left. Let's have a look here. 10:38. Something wrong with our little timer there. I do need to scale out the windows just to make it look a little bit prettier. Let's have a look there. Oh, there's our time. Okay. So we're sitting with about 11 minutes. Sorry, probably about 21 minutes until we hit that 4 o'clock mark. We are still pushing further there. So if you left that trade open, you would have still been smiling. So initial volume is definitely top side, right? So when you have a look at all these issues about fear, right? How Wall Street's preparing for a debt deficit, and oh no, and stock futures flat amid caution of, right? Again, anytime you see these articles are very pessimistic, remember who owns these places, right? Who owns Bloomberg? Who owns Yahoo Finance? Who owns all these media houses? You've got to pay attention to some of these things. So whenever it's too negative, it generally gives me a little bit of a bias. It's not right every time, but it's right a lot of the time. Let's just have a look at how gold is doing in relation to that. That's going to be quite interesting just to see how gold is reacting. So nice little pump here on gold, but not doing all too much. Nice little pump, but not doing all too much. So this might very well be dominated. Let's just have a look where the dominance is. So this isn't dollar dominated, right? So this has got very little to do with the dollar. And even though they're calling it, a US debt deficit, this is affecting less of the US market, the US dollar, And this is more Wall Street thing. This is more stocks, bonds, and these kind of things, indices on the Wall Street itself. So that's where our primary focus needs to be. And it's going to be very interesting this afternoon where that plays out. Now, yes, we may have that as an extra factor to deal with this afternoon in terms of our strategy. But if you have a look at the original strategy and where a lot of people get caught out, or I would say kind of manipulated, if you will, is if they follow just the initial pump. The initial pump was downside, right? And that's what catches a lot of people. The initial New York Stock Exchange volume comes in, starts to press down, people end up looking for shorts, and then we get some sort of reversal. In this case, it was quite a clean push, so you wouldn't have been wrong to chase along. However, I would like to see, do we get at 4 o'clock, do we see that materialization of some sort of directional move? Now again, it is not uncommon for the 4 o'clock move to be a continuation of the initial move. And that is why when you go back into the past and you do some back testing on this particular methodology, right? I'll show you an example here, right? Here's an example, right? So at half past, let's just see here. All right, half past three, New York Stock Exchange opens, and initially we get that push down, right? Let's say you chased that trade, no problem, took some profits, right? 4 o'clock, let's see, 4 o'clock. Okay, 4 o'clock was a push, and then we see that sell off. Oh, that was the 19th. Apologies, that was Friday. So it's not uncommon for us to see continuations of the same move. I think it was the original one that we looked at. We saw a continuation of that same move. Let's see here. That was a nice little reversal. So the reversals are great. This would be an example, right? This was on the 16th of May. So initial move down, a little bit of volatility, you know, actually not a lot, a lot of volatility, and then a continuation on that 4 o'clock mark, right? So it's not common, and it would definitely be in your favor to chase the initial move, manage trailing stops, manage risk management on that first position. If you can get your trade into profit, meaning if you can get your stop losses into profit by the time the next move happens, if the next move's in your favor, you don't have to add trades to your position, right? You can allow those trades to run the balance, and that's more than likely a strategy we are going to be adopting in the future. So it just avoids getting caught up in this sideways rejection pullback type zone situation, right? So we are going to wait for this one to materialize this afternoon. I've been looking at USD CHF failed to really hold position here. It did make at one point a pull down for around about 30-40 pips, but again, I wasn't 100% confident in the fact of this to be a sell, or if we're still in a range type situation, which is obviously something I didn't want to get all too involved in. Looking at USD ZAR, a little bit of a different situation. I'm going to quickly go back to the chart we were looking at this afternoon, or sorry, the chart we looked at this morning. USD ZAR made that breakthrough, right? And I said this morning, we're not going to initially just sell the breakthrough because we could come back up for that retest. We did go through the breakthrough. We went through VWAP. We smacked the next level of support, and we've come back a fair bit of a distance back into a retest. But now that we're in this zone, I'm kind of now looking for the next breakout, right? Should we surpass 19 Rand 36 cents to the dollar, I'll be keen for a buy situation. But should we start to break that decent support on 19.23, I'd be very keen for a short. However, I don't have a very good bias towards a strong South African Rand at the moment, right? Looking at everything happening, you've got looms of total blackout happening, you've got looms of supply chain issues, you've got looming issues over food security and job security and all these other issues, right? It's not unlikely to see the Rand hitting 20 plus to the dollar in the next month or two, right? I did call it out previously, we're going to hit 18, 19 Rand to the dollar. People say that's never going to happen. You know, there's investments banks in Nigeria and investment banks in Namibia saying, you know, the Rand's going to come down to 16 Rand to the dollar, whatever. I couldn't see it happening. There's just too much pressure on the South African Rand that just can't sort of get above. So this is going to be a key area that I am going to be identifying for a buy or a sell. We're obviously just going to essentially just navigate that over there. So I've got alerts out here. Should we break it, we are going to pop that out. My primary goal for today, or one of the bigger goals that I had for today to make sure that we get sorted, was I wanted to get back out the DVDM Quantum Growth Markets Academy, right, that we published last year. It's had amazing success around the world. We received feedback from people all over the continent, all over the globe, that have been through the academy, that have helped take their trading journey so much further, right? We're going to call that the base edition. It's going to be edition 1, and everything we're going to be doing here on after is going to be adding onto that edition, right? So I've made it public. The playlist is available. It's available at your disposal to download, to watch, to rewatch. It doesn't cost you a cent. Something similar like that, people will charge 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 Rand to invite you to a hotel to teach you higher highs, lower lows, means, you know, like whatever rubbish like that. It's available to you for free. So go ahead and enjoy that, watch it, share it, comment, do what you want to do. That was my main priority for today, as well as setting up what is going to be our US30 trading strategy for the balance of the term. Have a look over there, right, guys? Have a look at how crazy this market is reacting. Right, so imagine you chase the buy, boom, massive reversal sitting right now on US30, right? And I know there's going to be a bunch of groups that were giving out some buy signals just on US30 alone. And look at US30, what she is busy doing. Absolute collapse. I just want to have a look at this on a 5-minute really quickly. Yeah, guys. Sure. A lot of volume on US30, right? We saw 1,200 pips up, 1,200 pips down. I'm very tempted to sell US30. But I also would like to see the strategy work out. Obviously, we got some external influences happening here, but again, I've identified that there's a decent amount of support along this level here, and this would be for me a entry trigger to go short, right? Should we break that support, that's probably going to be the main position that I end up looking for, a short position. But let's hold out, right? Part of strategy is holding out, waiting to see that your rules are met. Okay, so let's hold out. If it crosses that level, I will short it. But let's see what we end up getting there. Maybe gonna pop in a little short, just a smidge, just a small short, because I don't want to bite myself if we see this thing fall through the floor. Okay, beautiful stuff. I can see Jemima saying, hey Dane, I funded my account is trade 245 and my account number is thanks. Beautiful stuff. I will get you added, family. I hope you are live with us. If you are, beautiful stuff. Edwin, I can see you've messaged me saying good day, sir. Welcome. Let's just get through the comments really quickly while I read through. We just wait for this to materialize. We've got a few more minutes left before 4 o'clock ends up kicking in. I'm just going to put in a very tight stop loss. I'm not keen to hold this. Again, very small trades until we see this thing pop off and go the absolute distance, right? So we just want to see this materialize. 4 o'clock, we're looking for direction. We're looking for confirmation. We will jump in and make it happen. So just let's quickly see here. So Lunga saying tonight, it's me and those videos. Ping saying, hi Dane. Been in the buy since this morning. Beautiful stuff. Fabian saying the thing on the left is chart info. I know we will update that. Don't worry. Ish, forgot about debt ceiling. Supposed to wait a little. I was in a sell position in my demo. Yep. USD ZAR continuing down again. Yeah, we still want to see USD ZAR. I'm a little bit skeptical whether we'll break support there. Even with a weakening dollar or dollar under stress, or I still yeah. Lunga saying I caught the sell at 33. What? Oh, okay. I think there's a dot there, right? Positive stop loss. Okay, beautiful. So you're in a positive stop loss. Amazing stuff. So we have about 10 minutes into that 4 o'clock mark, and then I'm very interested. Very interested, right? If we see a breakdown past support at 4 o'clock, then we know manipulations over the iceberg has been revealed, and then we're starting to see the true direction of that move, potentially even further to the downside. Alverna saying huge upside for NASDAQ. Let's give NASDAQ a quick look here. Let's see what NASDAQ is up to. NASDAQ, very big pop. Let's have a look here. Massive pop for the Nasdaq. Nasdaq's initial pop never actually even came down, right? 3:30, absolute monster of a pop. That's a great point, and it's something definitely worth watching out, because it could mean that US30. So remember, right, when it comes to Nasdaq, when it comes to US30, one of them has to be right? It is very rare that we see both of them being opposites or completely opposite. The only time that happens is when there's major issues that affect the both of them, right? So I would love to just double check and make sure that the Nasdaq doesn't absolutely fall off a cliff, or that the US30 doesn't have an absolute monster reversal. So that's something we're going to have to double check. We're going to have to confirm what happens at 4 o'clock. Now, the same thing that I've seen has also happened on the Nasdaq, right? So again, that initial 330 pop, and then a bit of a stabilization, and then an actual market direction. The Nasdaq's absolutely thumping it this afternoon. Yeah, absolutely thumping it toward the top side. Actually, to be honest with you, did not pay attention to the Nasdaq whatsoever. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close that current position. I'm going to close that guy in profit at entry. No, I'm not going to close in profit entry. I want to see what the direction is going to be. So I'm going to hold on. I'm going to let it do its thing, and I'm just going to let it do its thing, right? So I'm going to keep that sell in play on US30 and just see what she wants to do, right? I want to see, do we get an absolute breakdown over here? What do we get? And again, you know, have a look. I'll keep an alert here on Nasdaq too, to see if we get a little bit of rejection. But this may have not been a bad trade on US30. I actually don't know how I missed that, because price action was there. I mean, that's the price action. VWAP would have given a decent direction in terms of where we could have potentially had our resistance levels. It's very, very clear where that should have been. And that pop, should I have taken it? Should I have seen it? Probably. I was very, very focused on US30 strategy, so I missed that. That's my bad. Okay, so I'm just gonna drag my stop loss to break even, or as close to break even as I physically can. Doesn't allow me to, it's too close to entry. So I'll drag that into break even, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put in a trailing stop of, I think, 2000, just in case we get a massive spike. So one good thing you can do, and one thing is a great tip for easy money, right, is at the start of the New York Stock Exchange open, set up some pending orders with some trailing stops, right? Your broker should have trailing stops. If they don't have trailing stops, it's a problem. But set up some pending orders with trailing stops in events like this, where it's an absolute monster. Just make sure you calculate trailing stops correctly, right? In this particular case, when we're looking at US30, when we're looking at NASDAQ, we're looking at these items, the point count is quite high. So you may see like 1,000. Wow, 1,000 points, that's a lot. 1,000 points, only 100 pips, right? For NASDAQ and US30 is nothing. So if you want a nice tight, you know, big spike, you want to have a trailing stop, you want to get out easily, 1,000 is kind of going to be your bare minimum. 2,000 to 3,000 is kind of the ideal way. You want to hold some swings, 3,000 to 5,000 is kind of where you need to be. And for bigger trades, 10,000 trailing or 10,000 points and above is the way to go. But you can do a little test, set a little test for yourself, grab a runner, place a trailing, see how it works. And just a simple tip, trick to just easy pips, just going for Friday's high. Yeah, NASDAQ's on another level. So Mackenzie's asking a very good point about petrodollar, asking if it'll change currency. And the truth is maybe, right? Maybe. The thing is with, you know, this BRICS agreement, guys, there's a lot of powerful countries creating this BRICS formula, right? A lot of powerful countries that are coming together for BRICS. So when you bring that much power together, It'd be massive. Okay, so we're starting to break out some levels here on 5 minutes. I've obviously got quite a decent support just south of our current position. So again, if 4 o'clock hits and we start breaking these lows even further, yeah, man, it could be a healthy sell-off. I will then also have a look very, very seriously. If we see a major sell-off at that 4 o'clock mark on US30, I will then definitely start looking for US or NASDAQ shorts, right? Because if US30 at 4 o'clock starts to fail those lower levels, then definitely I'm looking at NASDAQ just smacking out that higher Friday and potentially starting that massive reversal process. Let's just get a bigger picture really quickly on where the NASDAQ is. I'm just going to maybe go to a 4 hour just to double check ourselves. Steven, what's happening? Beautiful stuff. Yeah, the NASDAQ is doing NASDAQ things, guys. Yeah, I don't see anything weird or different about the NASDAQ that is otherwise strange. NASDAQ's doing NASDAQ things. Oh, okay. So we're getting that push through. We're almost at the 4 o'clock mark. So for me, it's a straight up US30 sell. My stop loss is already in profit. I'm just going to extend that trailing stop. I'm maybe going to make it a 3,000 pip, like 3,000 points. Should give us a little bit more room to breathe. And you know what? I'm going to pop a short on NASDAQ. I'm popping a short on NASDAQ right there in that level. So I'm popping a short on NASDAQ for the 4 o'clock mark. I'm targeting Friday's high is a little bit far. Let's just see. It's actually not far. It's only 300 pips. I'm going to pop that over there. And let's see if that 4 o'clock, if this 4 o'clock reversal game comes in for us. Now, again, remember, it doesn't have to be exactly 4 o'clock. It can be 4:05, 4:10, whatever the case may be. NASDAQ's extremely bullish right now. But that's where it catches people, man. That's where it catches people. Let's see. So US30, at least the profit I've got on US30 will cover any stop loss on NASDAQ. If the reversal is wrong, even though we're technically in profit on both, US30 is falling like an absolute beauty. So moral of the story is that when it comes to that actual reversal, when it comes to let's just fix this window here quickly. So moral of the story is as such, right? When it comes to that reversal, when it comes to that initial move, New York Stock Exchange move, we can chase it. We will continue to chase it. We'll continue to see if we can profit out of it. But the thing is, we want to wait for a confirmation. We want to wait for that different direction. Chasing it with a little bit of a trailing stop, the way to go. That's how we're going to deal with that. So I'm going to put on here on this, and again, I'm doing very small trades here, guys. I'm not risking the biscuit. I'm not doing anything crazy. I mean, we're literally talking. I mean, I'm literally going to have a 2,000 point trailing stop here, which is tiny. And what you want to do, especially when you messing around with more than one trading position, right? And I'm going to teach us a little bit deeper with a bit more detail when it comes to money management skills. If I'm in on US30, right? So I'm in on a US30 position. I'm shorting US30. The second that trade's stop loss is in profit, I'm looking at how much profit that trade is in. Let's say this profit, the trailing stop or my stop loss is in $5 of profit, let's just say. I'm not going to have a stop loss of more than $5 on my next trade. Meaning that no matter what happens, I'm at break even if I'm adding another position. If my US 100 trade goes into profit and my trading stop or my stop loss goes into profit, I will reinvest that $5 plus something else, whatever the case may be. And then you move away from investing a percentage of your available balance. You start working on trading with equity, if you understand what I'm saying, right? A lot of traders will look at their trading account size. They'll say, I've got $100, right? So I don't want to exceed 5% of my account, 2%, 3%. In the beginning stages, that's fine, right? So 3% of $100 is $1, okay? Now, if you take a $3 stop loss and a trade moves in your favor and you now have a stop loss positive $2, the next trade you enter, you don't enter a trade now of $3 again. Your next trade you re-enter at $2 with a stop loss, okay? If that then moves into profit of $3, $4 and your other trade continues into profit, you now have $7 or $8. You now start looking at $6 as a stop loss. You then move to $10. You'll get to a point where the amount of equity you're risking can be much higher than your balance in your account, because you're running in equity, using unrealized profits, using the market's money to open up positions. That no matter what happens, if a collapse happens, if markets reverse against you, you're not affecting your balance, but you're using equity. We'll be teaching this in quite a bit of detail in the future, but just so that those of you who know, you know. Okay, so what's happening here? NASDAQ kind of seems a little bit dead stuck here. It is now 4 o'clock. We've just moved into the 4 o'clock territory. US30 performing extremely well, pushed through both supports, major supports. My trailing stop that I've done here is about 3,000 points. I'm going to make it slightly fatter. I'm going to make my trailing stop 4,000 points, and I'm going to adjust it slightly back. I'm just going to give it some room. As it pushes down, it'll drag itself down. I don't know where it's going to drag itself. It'll pull itself somewhere in this region. Let's just see here. Yeah, 4,000 points, correct. Okay, so my trailing stop US30 will drag itself as markets continue. NASDAQ looks like it wants to reverse. Potential for reversal. So let's give it a look. We've still got a few minutes. Let's have a look. I think NASDAQ is going to be following US30 by the looks of it. There we go. NASDAQ is doing its thing. NASDAQ is pulling down a little bit. US30 is pushing down nicely. Right, not massive. Don't write to your grandmother. Don't call your mama and say, I've quit my job, I'm going to become a trader. We're only on 1,000 pips. When you're hitting 10, 20, 30,000 pips for a week, then, you know, maybe consider quitting your day job. Don't quote me on that, I'll say you lie. Although this is recorded, crap. And this is my own channel, so I can say crap now. I can also vape on my own channel, which is amazing. I couldn't do before. Right? Okay. Marsh is in the background saying, yes, you can do that. Okay, so essentially that's going to be some of the strategy we are going to be using in shows in the future. I'm spending a lot of time thinking about the signal delivery service, about the education. Marsh is helping me a ton with the content, how we want to be putting things together, what we want to be doing. So things are going to evolve, and please do bear with us. You know, I tend to see something and I want to try something new and I want to adjust, and you know, we make these adjustments really to fit our lives, to make this a pleasant experience. And that's what I really wanted to have my own channel back, is that, you know, to do what we love and to do what we love, when we love, how we love it, because we know that from a community standpoint, this translates and we have fun. We have a ton of fun with every single one of you. So there's gonna be some changes, but hopefully they're positive. Hopefully we know what we're doing. US 100, nice little pullback. What I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna, because it was a slightly risky move, I'm just going to drag my stop loss just to be a little bit closer to entry. I do have a 2,000 points trailing stop, so it's not too far off. It actually should have activated my trailing stop to entry already, but it just didn't. We have to account for spread too. So if you go pip for pip, right, a person may look at this and go, you know, my entry's there. Markets pulled, okay. Markets pulled 1,997 points. My trailing stop didn't get moved. Or yes, because also spread. You've also got to account for bid and ask prices, right? So there's bid and ask, right? We can see that there's a at this point in time, there's a $3 difference, right? So that might be why trailing stops don't get pulled. It's minute, but you've got to account for it. It's not huge, but it's worth accounting for. Okay, so let's just see. US30's performed nicely. Our trading stop has pulled into profit there, 500-600 pips. It's in a little bit of a safer place, but I'm liking this 4 o'clock zone, right? I'm thinking 4 o'clock could have a little bit of a continuation on the hands. Let's just see what USD ZAR is up to. Got a ton of things running on these charts, and Keegan's asking thoughts on gold. I'm going to get to that in a second. Let's give gold a quick look. Okay, so the initial pump on gold we saw collapsed almost immediately thereafter. So gold, nice fat sell-off there. In terms of gold, I do think gold is just going to follow market structure here. I don't see gold trying to pull off any sort of magic tricks here. I think gold is going to sit in this range. Remember, we spoke about it a little bit earlier this morning about we spoke about selling gold a little bit earlier this morning. Gold pushed a little bit higher than what I wanted to, but remember I was talking this morning about the fact that, you know, gold's in this massive side sort of downwards trend, and whether we caught it right there or a little bit later, you know, we should still have continued towards the downside. And we spoke about gold potentially getting down to the 61.8. We didn't get down to the 61.8 on this morning session. We only got into the 50 fib level, and I think we'll probably just meander naturally to the 61.8 and maybe even something substantial like a little push down into the 78.6. That'd be cute, right? But yeah, I don't see anything substantial. If you're on the sell with me this morning from gold, then that should be good. That should be great. Okay, let's just have a look at NASDAQ doing a nice little reversal. So there we go. So 4 o'clock move, 3:30 move, beautiful move, great. We could have followed it, we could have chased the move, 1,000 pips, great. Nice reversal. Stop loss is in profit. US30 stop loss is in profit. So 2 beautiful trades, and amongst the 2, you know, you could have banked 1,500, 2,000 pips, whatever the case may be. If you scale that with your account, right, in 2 simple trades, 2 small trades, whether even if you've got $100, whether you got $200, if you got $1,000, doesn't matter. This is a very simple way to make 10% of your accounts in a day. Now guys, if you do the work and you go and have a look at what is 10% of your accounts in a day, you're talking about silly money, right? Absolutely silly money. I know what's one thing you guys have missed. And I think it's this dude, right? Whether we're going to see him come back or not, I'm not 100% sure. But I know you guys have missed him, and we got a nice big push there. So why not? But a very simple strategy to make some good money. But yeah, just something worth following. So we're going to be changing things up. Highly recommend go through and pay a little bit of attention. If you've been through my academy in the past, great stuff. If you haven't, go through the Quantum Growth Markets program. And guys, it's absolutely free. You're welcome to share with anybody that you wish. I don't charge for my academy. I don't charge for my time. There will be a time and place in which that may be necessary to give people one-on-one opportunities, but for the time being, go ahead, use it, learn something, try if this can help you to position yourself to fall in love with the markets. If one person succeeds out of this, it's been worth it. And we've seen so many success stories already through this program. So go ahead and enjoy it. Go jump in, have some fun. Outside of that, guys, yeah, appreciate you guys. We're gonna wrap this one up over here. We're gonna do pounds for breakfast tomorrow morning. We will be doing dollars for lunch. We are going to be generating some of those trades and those signals as I see them happen, as we get the right team involved to make those things a reality, to make it even better as we move forward. So guys, listen, outside of that, As always, much love. Thank you for joining this afternoon. And you're welcome to share with absolutely anybody you wish. You have the group link. Share the love. Invite people into the group. Let's build the family here. And we will be making the live streams more interactive, where you can share, you can post your things, we can chat. And I would love to see a community where it's a collaboration. Myself, and I believe it was Alverno. Was it Alverno? I think it was Alverno. Yeah. We were speaking earlier in the week about, how do we build the best possible community collaboration, right? I don't like being, the only person speaking about something in particular. Sharing of trade ideas. Again, look at this afternoon, perfect example. I'm focusing on US30, and someone said, hey, look at NASDAQ. Boom, NASDAQ's moving, right? Perfect example of why this is a community effort as opposed to just one person behind the screen. Outside of that, guys, listen, absolutely love you. Hope you guys have had a great Monday. Go through the academy, share the love, share it with as many people as you can or you want to. It's free. Outside of that, as always, much love, and I'll see you guys a little bit later. Goodbye.